Imagine living in a world where knowledge was limited, art rarely changed, and questioning old ideas was discouraged. Then, almost suddenly, everything began to change. Artists created breathtaking masterpieces, scientists challenged centuries of accepted beliefs, writers inspired new ways of thinking, and explorers ventured into unknown lands. This extraordinary period became known as the European Renaissance, one of the most influential eras in human history. The Renaissance transformed Europe and laid the foundations of the modern world. But how did it begin, why did it happen, and why does it still matter today? Let's explore the remarkable story of the European Renaissance. The word, Renaissance, comes from the French language and means, rebirth. Historians use this term to describe a period that lasted roughly from the 14th century to the 17th century, when Europe experienced an incredible revival in art, science, literature, architecture, philosophy, and education. During the Middle Ages, much of European life revolved around religion and long-established traditions. While religion remained extremely important during the Renaissance, people also began to value human knowledge, creativity, and individual achievement. They looked back to the civilizations of ancient Greece and Rome, believing that the wisdom of the classical world could help build a better future. The Renaissance first began in Italy during the late 1300s. Italy was not a single country at that time but was divided into wealthy city-states such as Florence, Venice, Milan, and Genoa. These cities became rich through international trade with Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Their wealth allowed rulers and merchants to support artists, architects, scholars, and scientists. One of the most famous families was the Medici family of Florence, who spent enormous amounts of money promoting education, literature, and the arts. Their patronage helped many brilliant minds achieve greatness. Another reason Italy became the birthplace of the Renaissance was its connection to ancient Rome. Across the Italian peninsula stood magnificent ruins, temples, statues, roads, and public buildings that reminded people of the achievements of the Roman Empire. Scholars became fascinated by classical civilization and searched for ancient manuscripts that had been forgotten for centuries. A major turning point came in 1453, when Constantinople fell to the Ottoman Empire. Many Byzantine scholars escaped to Italy, bringing valuable Greek manuscripts that preserved the writings of philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle. These texts introduced Europeans to ideas that had been largely forgotten during the Middle Ages and inspired a renewed passion for learning. One of the most important ideas of the Renaissance was humanism. Humanists believed that every person possessed intelligence, creativity, and the ability to improve society through education. Instead of studying only religious subjects, they encouraged the study of history, philosophy, literature, mathematics, politics, and the natural sciences. Humanists believed that education should prepare people to think independently, solve problems, and become responsible citizens. This new way of thinking changed schools, universities, and intellectual life throughout Europe. Perhaps the most famous achievement of the Renaissance was its extraordinary art. Renaissance artists sought realism unlike anything seen before. They carefully studied human anatomy, light, perspective, and proportion to create paintings and sculptures that looked remarkably lifelike. Their work reflected both technical mastery and deep emotional expression. Among the greatest artists was Leonardo da Vinci, often considered one of the most brilliant individuals in history. Leonardo painted masterpieces such as the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, but his talents extended far beyond painting. He was also an engineer, scientist, inventor, architect, and anatomist. His notebooks contained designs for flying machines, armored vehicles, bridges, and many inventions that were centuries ahead of their time. Another legendary artist was Michelangelo. His marble sculpture of David became a symbol of human strength and beauty, while his breathtaking paintings on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel remain among the greatest artistic achievements ever created. Raphael also became famous for works such as the School of Athens, which celebrated ancient philosophers and represented the spirit of Renaissance learning. The Renaissance was not only an artistic revolution but also an intellectual revolution. Scholars began questioning traditional beliefs and relied increasingly on observation, experimentation, and evidence. This new approach eventually led to the scientific revolution. One of the most influential scientists was Nicolaus Copernicus, who proposed that the Earth revolves around the Sun instead of the Sun revolving around the Earth. This idea challenged beliefs that had been accepted for more than 1,000 years. Later, Galileo Galilei improved the telescope and made important observations of the Moon, Jupiter, and Venus. His discoveries supported the heliocentric model and changed humanity's understanding of the universe. Although his work brought him into conflict with powerful religious authorities, Galileo's commitment to scientific evidence inspired future generations of scientists. Medicine, engineering, mathematics, astronomy, and geography also advanced rapidly during the Renaissance. Scholars increasingly believed that understanding nature required careful observation rather than unquestioned acceptance of ancient authorities. The spread of knowledge accelerated dramatically after Johannes Gutenberg invented the movable type printing press around 1450. Before the printing press, books had to be copied by hand, making them expensive and rare. Gutenberg's invention allowed books to be produced quickly and at much lower cost. As books became more widely available, literacy increased, universities expanded, and ideas spread across Europe faster than ever before. The printing press became one of the greatest inventions in human history because it made knowledge accessible to millions of people. The Renaissance also inspired remarkable achievements in literature. Writers explored themes of human nature, politics, morality, and society with new depth and creativity. Dante Alighieri, Erasmus, and later William Shakespeare produced works that continue to influence readers around the world. Their writings demonstrated the Renaissance belief that literature could both entertain and educate. Curiosity about the wider world encouraged European exploration. Explorers searched for new trade routes to Asia and opportunities for wealth and discovery. Christopher Columbus reached the Americas in 1492, Vasco da Gama established a sea route to India, and Ferdinand Magellan's expedition completed the first voyage around the globe. These journeys connected continents through trade, cultural exchange, and exploration. However, they also led to colonization, conflict, and the exploitation of many indigenous peoples. The age of exploration permanently changed global history. By the early 17th century, the Renaissance gradually came to an end as Europe entered new political, religious, and scientific eras. Yet the ideas born during the Renaissance continued to shape civilization. They influenced the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment, modern education, democratic thought, technological innovation, and artistic expression. Today, the legacy of the European Renaissance can still be seen everywhere, from museums and universities to scientific research, literature, architecture, and modern technology. It reminds us that curiosity, creativity, education, and the courage to question old ideas have the power to transform societies and change the course of history. The Renaissance was far more than a period of beautiful paintings and famous sculptures. It was a rebirth of human thought that forever changed the world, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire humanity centuries later.